What's the most important holiday that you won't work?
Besides my birthday is New Year's, Asian Independence Day.
Tell the audience what happens.
We have a huge dinner, but before dinner, got to drink your soup. Jumeau.
Nobody's drinking the soup. This soup is thick as hell, yo. Y'all eating the soup. But anyway, keep moving.
That has to be the first thing in my stomach. I can't risk going back to 1803. I got to be in 1804, where there's freedom. And I can't do that if I'm on call.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. Yo, I'm your host, Dr. Nee. I'm joined by my lovely animated co-host, Dr. Renee. What's good, Dr. Renee? How you doing?
Fine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not even
All right.
Halloween.
You got that late night buzz, huh? I see.
You know, when you post call, but I'm not actually post call, but I'm post like kitty call because I always
You post what?
kitty call. Kid.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, yo, what we talking about here?
Okay, you know what? Get your dirty mind out the gutter. You ain't getting paid. You ain't gotten, what is it? You ain't knocking boots. Anywho, that's when you stay up late because your kids went to bed and now you feel like freedom.
Yeah, but then you
like,
tired as hell.
But then you tired, but then you get like your second win and now you got like this post-kid delirium, just like post-call delirium.
Yeah.
Where you feel
I know what
like,
you're talking about.
dude, I could do the next case if you want me to. When you know you really should.
Renee's on one right now, guys. So listen, this is Docs Outside the Box. I just got to start off by saying, Renee, I woke up late today and I went to work today late. Everybody who's listening, has this ever happened to you? Yo, I woke up at 6 o'clock, sign out is at 7 o'clock, and I kept snoozing and snoozing until I woke up at 7:05. I was like, oh!
Who's snoozing? Who?
Oh, that's the worst feeling. But this time I just called. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be late. And, you know, I'm only 15 minutes away. So I drove in. They were still signing out because the list is long as hell.
So you missed nothing.
I ain't really, well, the person didn't miss. I ain't missed nothing. We got a bunch of rocks in our service show. We got a lot of people who we can't get out. You know, trauma's crazy like that. Like you'll have sometimes these ebbs and flows where you'll have like really like crazy trauma that comes in, but then the hard part is like, sometimes you can't get them out. Like you're done taking care of them, but you cannot get them out for various reasons. They don't got insurance, they ain't got a place to stay, whatever it may be. You know, particularly in the elderly people, like the geriatrics, like that's the hardest one because, you know, they were living at home and they fell down and now it's like the whole family's having a hard time finding out or trying to come to a place where they're just like, yeah, we knew she was, or we knew he was on a tightrope.
Downward spiral.
And this is it. He or she needs to go to a nursing home or they need to come live with us or they need to go to rehab. Either way, they're not going home by themselves. And that a lot of times is the hardest part. Yeah. That's the hardest part. We see that a lot in trauma. So
I'm glad I'm not you because I don't see that very often at all, if at all.
But speaking of, you know, we were talking about the last episode, my work wife hooked me up with a toothbrush and toothpaste. Shout out to the nurse.
And shout out to the nurse.
Shout out to the nurse in the ICU. Hooked me up so I could brush because, you know, I'm driving. I'm like, I just came, you know.
So you woke up like, good morning to you.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning to you.
That funk. You know, you talking to patients, you in their face, you talking to families. Like, I can't let. As soon as I got the sign, I went upstairs, got my, brushed it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, look, you know, we've got some stuff we're going to talk about, but I wanted to revisit the question that I asked you from the previous episode because I'll be honest, I didn't like my answer. So I want to give myself a redo.
What would you do differently in med school? That one?
No, what's a medical myth or tradition you think we should retire and why?
Oh, what'd you say?
I forgot what I said. It was weak though. It was weak. I didn't like it. I forgot about it.
I said 24-hour call. So
mine is more philosophical. basically doctors ain't leaders, right? Like I think just
Mm.
there's this notion that just because you graduated from med school, you mastered this knowledge and
That
quote
you're a
unquote like
leader.
you are in charge of a team, right? Like you're the person with the most knowledge, so to speak, on pathophysiology or how a person lives or dies or all that stuff. Does that necessarily make you a leader? Like I think by default in medicine we make doctors leaders, but I tend to think that leadership, you learn leadership. Some people are born natural leaders, but there's a quality of like, first of all, I think you got to be a good person to be a leader. I do. I really think
Hmm.
you got to be a good
Yes.
person to be a
Yes.
leader. I think that you got to be able to inspire people to like do what you want them to do, not demand them. I think you have to kind of like, there's a certain command that you have to have. There's a certain credibility that you got to have in order for people to really follow you and feel inspired by you. Do
What
you
about
really need to be?
empathy?
Not necessarily, right? Because I think there's some leaders who can inspire folks and be really systematic about things and be like, this is like, for example, like this is how we're going to treat people. We're going to treat people the same way no matter what, whether they are from this walk of life or from that walk of life, but we're going to be extremely systematic about it, right?
But you don't think that leader needs to be empathetic?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Think about it.
I
Chew
don't
on
know. I
that
think
one.
I think to be a good doctor, you should be empathetic. I don't know if to be a good leader, you should be empathetic. Those are two
Mm.
separate things, right? Because in
Mm.
order to be a doctor, to be empathetic, you have to stop being a doctor mindset wise and listen to a patient and figure out, put yourself in their shoes, right? Like we had, rest in peace, we had Jamal Dixon on the show. Guys, that
Mhm.
was several years ago. We had Jamal Dixon, rest in peace. But he was a doctor. He was going through residency. He developed, stomach cancer and he got surgery. And like a couple days later, he's doing all the things that I would tell my patients not to do, right?
Mhm.
Fast food and all these different things. He just wanted to feel normal,
Normal.
right?
Right. I remember
He just
that.
wanted to feel normal, right? And that was his key thing. He's like, I know as a doctor that I should not be eating this. I know that I should not be doing that. But I needed to do something to make myself feel normal. And I think a lot of times doctors forget what it's like to be in their patient's shoes. So I don't know. I think in order to be a
Mm.
good doc, you have to have a bit of empathy, right? You got to have to put yourself in their shoes to understand how they can do certain things.
I think
In
as
order
a
to be a
leader,
leader, I don't know about that.
I think as a leader, you do need to be empathetic. Because if you're not empathetic, then that means that potentially you are not actually listening to the people who you want to lead or who are looking for you to lead. And so sometimes I think leaders can get caught up in what they want to do and not necessarily hear what people actually want from them, right? Which then begs the question, should you be leading those particular people or should you find other people who, embody every single thing that you're wanting to do, right? So
Well, you got to get the right
I,
people on the right. You have to get the right people on the bus.
you got to get the right people on the bus. And I think that there are
But
times when,
you need the right bus driver too.
right. But I think that there are times when you are leading, right? That part of leading is also knowing when to step back and when to step down, right? I think that is part of leadership, knowing when to know when hold them. Everybody know when to fold them.
Well,
Everybody know when to walk
before
away.
we go down into the before we go into the weeds with it, I just want to let's bring it back to the top thing, which is
Yes,
I think just because you go to med school, just because you graduate, just because you go through residency, I don't think that that automatically makes you a leader, though. I
I
don't.
agree with you. I
I think
absolutely
that
agree with
I
you.
think you gotta learn that stuff through residency. You have to learn like the hierarchy. You have to learn from people who are above you
Hmm.
how they move, right? Because that's where most residents, most doctors pick up their good habits or their bad habits.
Bad
Is
habits.
somebody,
Yes.
right? Like shout out to Dr. Durrett, right? He was
Yes. Robin
our
Durant,
general surgery, our general surgery
preceptor.
preceptor for rotation. Like we got
Hmm.
plenty of great habits from him on how to treat patients, on how to treat his fellow, colleagues, and how to deal with nurses, how to deal with staff,
How to be
those
in the
things.
OR, how to handle emergencies or things that don't go right in the OR.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you pick up really good habits from people who are doing things that you haven't done before. And
Yeah.
then as you get there, you are also possibly picking up bad habits. I can
Hmm.
attest to that. I picked up some bad habits in residency where it's
Like
almost
what?
like I just, I became like, I think I realized in
You
my
throwing
program
you
that
throwing stuff in it? You throwing stuff in the
nah,
OR?
no, no,
You throwing body parts in the OR?
no, man, no. No, by the
Equipment?
time I'm a resident, by the time I'm in residency, by the time you're in residency, that stuff was gone, right? Like
No, it's
I
not.
can't think
No,
of,
it wasn't.
well,
What are you
in
talking about?
the program that I was in, the hospital that I was in, you never heard about that stuff going on. At Grady, I can't see at Grady
Mm.
surge techs. You heard of someone at Grady doing that, throwing
I didn't
stuff?
say a Grady. No, not a
Okay,
Grady.
so I don't know what's going on at your place, but in the South, in Atlanta, I can't see. I never heard of docs getting away with throwing stuff at surge techs
Oh
because it's
yeah.
just like, is you about to catch a fade, like for real, right? Like nah, like we not going down like
I've
that.
seen that. I've seen that. I had an attending in my
But
program
you was in Jersey, like y'all all like
who would
that's
do
almost
stuff
like the
like
Ivy
that.
League. That's like the Ivy League and stuff. Like that's not the same thing. Anyway,
What?
keep going. Yeah,
But no, I had an attending in my program. He would, let's say the harmonic didn't work, for whatever reason, because it never works because you didn't plug it in all the way, and then
yeah,
everybody
it
know
makes that
that,
crazy noise.
right? That crazy organ. That's how you know it doesn't work. And he would like throw it, like, oh, this thing doesn't work, and it's like, why are you throwing stuff in the OR? Like, for what reason? Like, you do know, like, this platform underneath us is actually a body. It's a person. You can't just chuck things on this platform. That's a
But
person.
see that, but that's that type of behavior is like that's some of the bad behavior that you're right. You were asking me, did I pick up on it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right. But I wouldn't be surprised if like that person you were telling me about had a leadership position in a hospital, right? Like,
He did.
right. And it's just like that type of behavior. Like
He sure did.
I, I in residency, like that's the reason why I couldn't do fraternities, right? Like in
Mm.
residency,
You about
I
to
have a
get
problem.
canceled. Hold on, hold on. You about
I
to
have a
get
problem.
canceled. Let me get comfy cozy for this one.
I don't like people making me feel a certain way just because
They can.
like they can. So like
Mhm.
even to this day, like whether it's neurosurgery or cardiothoracic surgery or whatever you consider to be at the high of the food chain and stuff, I
Mhm.
don't like when any of them talk a certain way to people. I don't like it. As a matter of fact, I confront them everywhere I've been at. I'm like, listen, dude or girl, st-
Woman.
stop it. Stop it because this behavior is unacceptable. If you cannot do this behavior outside of the hospital, then you should
Don't
not
do
be
it in
allowed to do
here.
this hospital in the hospital. And I always raise my voice like, and I look at
Behavior.
them
Yeah.
to let them know
Behavior.
that, listen, you're not getting away with me with this BS. I do not accept this whatsoever. Right. And yeah, obviously now I'm on the other end. Like you can't do anything to me. Right. Like I'm doing locums. What are you going to do? Not ask me back. I don't care. But I do believe that a lot of folks, they pick up really bad habits because they were taught really bad habits
Mhm.
because they felt as though like some chairperson or some, person who they admire either in the OR or on rounds, quote
Yeah.
unquote, was
That's
a
how
good
they got
leader
to their positions.
because that person scared them into doing things. And then they carry that on. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Can't do that on my watch. Like
Right.
and because guys, I'll tell you right now, like I've seen neurosurgeons talk a lot of stuff and bow down to the C-suite or bow down to somebody, like they will talk to really nasty to a surge tech, but then somebody says, "Well, you
Mhm.
got to take call for like the next 3 weeks." They're like, "Okay, boss."
Okay.
Everybody's got a boss. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree with you. I don't think that just because you're a physician that means that you're a leader, And I think, like you said, I think that people see someone with really bad habits, nasty attitude, in the C-suite or in some corner office somewhere or some position that they desire at some point in their career, and then they take on those attributes because they think, well, it must have gotten them there because that's how they are. So that must be what it means to be a leader, to be in that position. The
Yeah.
reality is there's a lot of people who are in those positions who, their quote unquote underlings don't actually respect them. They don't respect them.
Well, they fear them. They fear them.
No, there's fearing them only, I think, in the fact that, yeah, this person has a stake or has a say. This person has a say
In me moving to the
in
next chair.
moving to the next, right, to the next position, or has a say in me staying at this hospital, right? Like they fear the consequence of that person, of confronting that person or whatever, but they don't actually respect that person. I've seen this time. I mean, you and I see this a lot because we go to so many different hospitals for locums. So there have been times where I've seen like, man, nobody really respects the chair of this department. Everybody's talking bad about him or her behind their backs. And this person thinks that they're doing a great job, or they think that they're inspiring, or they think, or they don't even care. They don't even care whether or not they're inspiring or doing whatever. They just bark orders from the C-suite, and, you know, that's it. I've seen this as physicians. I've seen this. You know who I see this a lot with? Nurse managers. For some reason, I have seen this time and time again with nurse managers, nurses who get their master's degree in some sort of, administration, blah, blah, blah. They come from the floor and now they're nurse managers. And like the nurses have problems with them because scheduling or, just logistics,
But
or
that's
they're
anybody.
asking them
That's
to do
anybody.
stuff.
That's anybody who gets moved to
Right.
middle management. Once you get moved to middle management or even higher, in essence, you're just basically an advocate for the CEO, the people who are
Correct.
in the upper echelons of the hospital who are making decisions. You just become like a familiar face to tell the folks who are working down
What
there
to
to do
do.
A, B, and C.
Right.
I
You're the
do
one
act.
they taught how to read so that you can tell everybody else what to do. But hold on, before you go into the next thing, I want to go back to my question of, okay, so does empathy matter when you are a leader? Right? Because when you pluck someone from the crowd and you now put them in a leadership position, does empathy become part of your leadership because you knew what it was to be in the trenches like everybody else? But now you may ignore that because, well, you got what you wanted. You got a raise. You don't have to be on call. You don't have to be in the hospital. You don't have to see patients. You don't have to deal with a whole bunch of stuff
Well, yeah,
that
I
you
agree.
had
I
to
agree
deal
with you
with
there.
before.
In that situation, those who take empathy and those who understand what it's like, yeah, they're gonna stand out. Those are the ones who are really going to like do well, but they're not gonna stay there
Hmm.
long. They're not gonna stay there long, Donna.
Maybe. I think
Okay.
I think
I,
that
I'm
I
gonna
think
bet.
there's
I'm
a
gonna bet
balance.
they're gonna have. I'm gonna bet that they're not gonna stay there long, and they're gonna get.
I think that
They're gonna
there's
get
a
shoot
balance.
out really quick.
No, I think that there's a balance. I think that there's a balance, right? You can't
A
get
balance of
plucked.
what? A balance of what?
There's a balance of empathy versus what the C-suite wants you to do. Right? I think that you can be an advocate for people for whom you share empathy, right? But also try to get the work done, right? That the C suite is wanting you to do. And I think in doing that, you actually are able to come up with solutions that maybe the C suite didn't think about, right? They didn't think about it because they don't have empathy for those people. So the question becomes, right? I was talking about this today with someone else, but you know, what is the benefit? What is the end goal of this? What is the thing that needs to happen? Right? Because a lot of times the C suite doesn't care how it happens, they just care that it happens. And so if you can figure out a way through empathy to get what the C suite wants done without necessarily disrupting everything, you know, from in the trenches, you might actually find a nice balance. I think it's possible. But
I mean, that's your point. You're supposed to be the reasonable one. I'm the cynical one. I don't believe it. So let's move on to the next question, or the next question I have for you. So, how do you feel about working on holidays or on your birthday? The reason
nope.
why I'm bringing it up is because I am working tomorrow. Tomorrow it is Juneteenth. Dr. Renee, am I a sellout for working on Juneteenth? You tell me. See, I ask very good questions all the time. You over here ask
Oh my Lord.
empathy and leadership. Ain't nobody care about that damn thing. Am I a sellout for working on Juneteenth?
Yes. Now
Guys,
you might ask the good questions, but I give the good answers, okay?
I'll give you that. That's peace. That's peace.
No, I
That's
don't think you're
peace.
a sellout. I do not work on my birthday,
For
but
the record, hold on. For the record, everyone. I am front loading my schedule. I'm taking on mad extra days because we are going to Ghana and we are going to be doing a medical mission. And I'm going to be gone for, a couple of weeks, several weeks. And
come
I'm
on,
just trying to
sis.
get my time. I'm just trying to get my time in right now and stuff. So that's why, you know, I'm doing this. But anyway, go ahead.
Leaving your wife
Go
lonely.
ahead.
We leaving your
Go
wife
ahead.
lonely.
Go ahead and answer the question.
So I don't work on my birthday. That's a deal breaker.
Me too.
I don't work on my birthday. Please. Up until like 2 years ago, you still working on your birthday.
2 years ago, I worked on my birthday. It was the worst thing ever. Just want to say it out there.
Like,
Guys, it's the worst feeling. Never work on your birthday, y'all.
no,
Never,
because
ever do that.
because
Never, ever.
you be acting like you W-2. Like, oh well, if I don't work on my birthday, they could fire me. I have to work on my birthday and make sure that I'm there because they might want to cut a cake for
You didn't
me.
fix
And
your
if I'm not
glasses.
there, oh, if I'm not there, oh, And I'm like, dude, you're not W-2. Like, you don't have to work on your birthday, but you be insistent, and I'm just like, whatever. Now, other
All right. Over
holidays,
the last 7 years, I worked one time on my birthday. Just for the
really,
guys, for the record, guys,
really.
I refer to Renee as hyperbole Renee because everything she says is in hyperbole. But let's just keep it
I
moving.
know
Keep
you
going. I'm
ain't
gonna let you cook.
talking.
I'm
I
gonna
know
let you
you ain't
cook.
talking. Anywho, no, but any other holiday, I don't think it's selling out. I think you can work on a holiday. I don't.
How about
I
Father's
don't.
Day? Father's Day, I work too.
You did work on Father's Day.
But I know you wasn't gonna do nothing for me on Father's Day anyway.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
okay,
Y'all wasn't gonna do nothing for me. Please.
okay.
Father's
So I've
Day,
never
we
did.
get the
So I've
short end of the
never
stick
done it.
all the
I've
time.
never done anything for you for Father's Day. I've never done anything for you for Father's Day.
Well, why don't you list
Think,
them? Because
think,
it sounds
think,
like you got a
think,
list. So go ahead and list it
think,
out. Go ahead and
think.
list it out.
First of all, you be working on Father's Day most of the time. Secondly, the last time you were off on Father's Day, we took you for a train ride, which you love trains, and we took you for a train ride. Where the hell did you take me on Mother's Day?
Hey, Renee, that train ride was like
What
20
did
minutes.
Oh, really? First of all, it wasn't 20 minutes.
How long
It
was
was
it?
like an hour. It was about an hour, like 40 minutes. That's number one. But okay. All right. Listen, you ain't got to worry about another Father's Day, nothing again. Ever. Ever. As a matter of fact, I'm taking your kids away. That's it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't need Father's Day if you're not a father.
Guys, the moral of this is don't, pick your days that you're not going to work. Don't work it. So that's how I look at it.
The
So,
moral of this is don't do nothing for Father's Day because you're gonna get accused of doing nothing for Father's Day. So that's the moral of the story. But hold on.
mm,
Any holiday that you want to work, I think is fine, especially as locums because you know me,
what's the most important holiday that you won't work?
besides my birthday,
Yeah, besides
is
your
what's the
birthday.
name? Is New Year's, Haitian Independence Day. I don't
Why?
work that ever because it's
Why?
Haitian. I just said it. It's Haitian Independence Day.
But what happens? Tell the audience what happens.
We
They
tell
need to
them all
know.
the time. Okay, fine. We have a huge dinner, but before dinner, got to drink your soup, Jumu. Got to drink your
Okay.
soup, Jumu.
One
You,
thing that we need to change is like nobody's drinking the soup. Why do y'all say that? Because this soup is thick as hell, yo. Y'all eating the soup. But anyway, keep moving.
you got to drink the soup. That's the literal translation. Drink soup. So you got to drink your soup. And if I don't get my soup, like that has to be the first thing in my stomach on New Year's Day. I can't risk it. I can't risk going back to 1803. I got to be in 1804 where there's freedom. And I can't do that if I'm on call. I'll be stuck in 1803 for the rest of the year. And I can't be stuck in 1803. I need to be in 1804, January 1st, 1804, Haitian Independence Day. So, so yeah, that's why I can't I'm not risking it.
Okay.
I'm not risking it. But
For me,
listen, wait. Any other holiday, hold on. Any other holiday, I think it's fine.
yeah,
As
I'm
because
gonna mute you, sir. I don't
no,
know why
because
you
you
keep telling
asked me
me.
a question,
I'm
but
going to
you
mute you
won't
like
let me
right now.
finish. You
Hurry up
won't
and
let
get to
me
the
finish.
point.
But you keep interrupting me. Alfred, I want you to mark this as interruption because last time he said he don't interrupt me. Okay. Thank you. Actually, Alfred, play from where he had said that he didn't interrupt me last time. Okay? And then show him interrupting me.
I'm
Because
gonna mute you.
Sir, I don't know why you keep telling me. I'm going to mute you, like right now. Hurry up and get to the point.
But you keep interrupting me.
okay. Anyway, so like I was saying, as locums, I think that our jobs for a very large part is to make our colleagues' jobs a little bit easier. We come in, we take on stuff, we take on days that our colleagues who are W-2 don't want to or cannot take on. And so that's why I think if you work any holiday, I think you're fine. That's all I
Okay.
wanted to say.
Okay.
Now, what about you?
Anyway, who me? I
Yeah,
don't work my birthday, and I don't work Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
That's
Why
it.
not Thanksgiving? What's the matter? Because
Because
you love the
that
pilgrims so much?
that's the day that my family gets together, and we don't get together too much. That's the day we get together and have fun. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. It's my birthday. That's it.
Your birthday and Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
Okay.
And your
It's not
birthday,
mm, that
and the
remains to
kids,
be seen.
and the kids. I've never worked on your birthday, and the kid's birthday.
Mm.
The kid's birthday. I don't work on the kid's birthday. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, same here. I've never worked on my kid's birthday. So those are deal breakers.
Okay.
Yeah, what else? What other questions do you have since you say I ask janky questions?
No, I don't have any questions. So in the next segment, we're going to be talking about a Q&A from Reddit, where we're going to be talking about attending sleeping on the job.
Mm.
All right. It is my favorite part of the show where I get to talk about locum tenens and what me and Renee do, as well as answer a question from the audience. So listen, guys, me and Dr. Renee have been doing locum tenens for well over 10 years. Listen, it gives us the career fulfillment that we need, but also at the same time allows us to have the work-life balance that we need to have, right? It allows me to be here to talk to you. It allows me to be, plugged in with my family, my kids, my wife, and still be here and talk to you guys for close to 10 years now. So listen, let's answer this question from Dr. Kevin. Dr. Kevin is a full-time locum tenens emergency medicine physician, and this is what he writes. I love the flexibility of locums, but since I'm not employed by a hospital, I don't have benefits. This is real. Should I really be thinking about disability insurance right now? Dr. Kevin, I appreciate the question. Thank you very much for writing in this question. I got all the answers. And the short answer to this is 100% yes. Yes. And look, if you're already working as a locum tenens ER doc, man, you should have had disability insurance yesterday, right? So let's get to the point. Like, one of the biggest misconceptions I would say about disability insurance right now, if you're listening, is that you can worry about it later. right? I'm going to worry about it later. I'm going to take care of it when it comes up. And later you can put whatever time reference, time interval on it. But it's a big deal, right? Because especially as a locum tenens doctor, you are your own safety net, right? Like there is no HR department if an issue occurs. There's no benefits package, right? Part of the reason why you get paid so well is, there's no benefits, right? So you have to purchase benefits on your own, right? And there definitely is not any type of employer-backed disability coverage. I'll be very honest about that. And even the employer-backed disability coverage that you have is not very good. Like, even if you are working as an employed doctor, you should have your own private type of disability insurance. And that's real talk, right? So if something happens to you, an injury, an illness, a burnout related condition, and let's be real, that happens more often than you think. And let's say you can't work. Your income stops. That's it. There's no salary that you get to depend on. There's no work. That means there's no pay, right? So that is where a private disability insurance plan comes in. And also, if you're looking for a private disability insurance plan, like, you got to make sure that it's true own occupation policy. I'm going to say that again. Make sure it is true own occupation policy. You want to be sure that when you're looking at a plan that it says that lingo in there, right? And that means that if you can't work, I'm gonna be honest, if let's get to the real, let's say as an emergency medicine doctor, or let's say you're an anesthesiologist, if you cannot work in that specific field, right? Or even general surgery, right? I'm a general surgeon. If I can't do general surgery anymore, but I want to do something else, that means I'm still going to get paid, right? And that's a really big deal, right? There's a lot of fine language out there that is meant to trip you up. But if you have true own occupation disability insurance, that means that you can do other things if you can't work in your specific field, right? And since you're a 1099 contractor, I got a little cheat code here, right? Your premiums may be tax deductible as a business expense. So not only are you protecting your income, you're being smart with your taxes also. Now, that last caveat, I'm going to be honest with you, make sure you talk to your tax professional about that. Make sure you talk to your financial advisor about that. They may give you some additional or a different type of advice. So it's super important that you run that by them first, okay? So, look, disability insurance, Dr. Kevin, it's not about fear. It's about financial responsibility. You've worked hella hard. You've worked way over 10 years to protect this career, to build this career, excuse me. So protect that income at all costs, right? It's super important, right? So I recommend, if you're looking to get disability insurance, listen, I'm telling you right now, I recommend you work with Jamie Fleischner with Set for Life Insurance. All right. We've been working with her personally for over 10 years. She helped me and Renee get rid of our really expensive disability insurance and get to something that was way more cost effective and actually had better coverage. And that actually was the biggest start of us paying off our student loan debt, was us first realizing that, hey, we're paying way too much to disability insurance as well as to whole life insurance. Let's get something that's way more economical. And, 3 years later, we paid off over almost $700,000 of student loan debt. So we know a thing or two about working with cost-effective disability insurance. Super important. So I recommend Jamie Fleischner with Set for Life Insurance. She specializes in coverage for doctors, especially independents like you and me. All right. So there's no fluff in what she's talking about. It's just honest advice. And she's got access to multiple top tier carriers. So I want you to take a look at setforlifeinsurance.com or tap on the link in the show notes. All right. To set up a free, no pressure consultation with her. All right. Super important. And remember, this is Docs Outside the Box, and outside the box doesn't mean unprotected. Dr. Kevin, thanks for writing in.
Let's, I be scouring Reddit. So let's talk about an unreachable attending on call. This person in the residency forum, they want advice. Ooh. So it says, hey, everyone, looking for advice and sanity check from fellow colleagues. I'm currently doing 24-hour in-house calls, and I share these shifts with an attending physician. Here's the issue. After finishing outpatient clinic around 5 p.m., this attending routinely takes melatonin and Lunesta to get good sleep overnight. He goes to bed around 6 p.m. and basically knocks out for 12 hours straight. We're both still on call during this time. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. After taking Lunesta, I don't know why this person is using the trade name. Anyway, he becomes oddly talkative, emotionally unfiltered, and starts sharing inappropriate or personal secrets about his life. He laughs randomly, overshares, and clearly isn't functioning with normal inhibition. Once asleep, he is completely unavailable. Doesn't respond to texts or calls during the night. I'm left managing everything, including some higher stake decisions. And honestly, I'm not sure he'd even be capable of handling an emergency if one came up.
He
Has
would if he
anyone
wasn't taking Lunesta.
has anyone seen similar behavior in their program? I've asked other residents and I'm getting mixed feedback. Some say it's just how it goes. Others are more concerned. I want to be reasonable, but I also don't want to be the only one awake and responsible by the attending is pharmacologically sedated. Ooh, this is a good question. Before you answer, Dr. Renee, that question or give advice, I want you to take a guess what specialty you think that is, because I got thoughts, yo.
I am
They take all? I am? Yeah, I guess
in a
so.
residency program.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like psychiatry or something like that.
Mm,
It can't be something like it is not surgery. There's no way that's surgery.
no.
OB? There's no way it's OB.
Oh, hell no.
There's no way it's ER.
OB, that would be a career
That's why
changing,
I don't think it's
career
hospitalist.
ending,
I don't think it's IM, but it could be IM because they just
or family
admit.
med. Family med.
I'd have to say it's some specialty that once they said the office thing, I was like,
Yeah,
it's something like psychiatry, ophthalmology, or something like that.
family med. Family med, I think.
All right. So they ended off by saying, I want to be reasonable, but I also don't want to be the only one awake and responsible while the attending is pharmacologically sedated. She sound like she or he sound like they hate in real there. But anyway, has anyone seen similar behavior in their program? I've asked other residents and I'm getting mixed feedback. Some say it's just how it goes. Others are more concerned. Thoughts, Renee? Thoughts.
Hey, yo, you want to talk about inappropriate? That is so inappropriate.
To take a nap or to be sleeping?
No.
What's more inappropriate? To be sleeping and not responding to texts or to be talking about your personal life?
No. It's fine that you sleep. You must respond, but it's fine if you sleep. It is not fine that you take melatonin and Lunesta.
That's what I'm saying. This is not that high. This is not a crazy type special. This is what I'm telling you. Most people who are like, they're like, I ain't taking both. I'm on call.
We talked about a surgeon, a urologist who was on cocaine during surgery. I mean, people.
But he's available though.
Anyway,
if you call him, he probably
he do your surgery real fast too.
I need a Foley. Word, I got like, come on now. I'm telling you, I think this is psych. It's probably urology. It's probably psych. Things that emergencies don't happen that often. Probably that's what it is.
When people do first of all, it's inappropriate either way. When people do inappropriate things, they don't do it at appropriate times. Like that don't even make no sense. They make no sense. Why would it be psych?
The voice of reason. Here we go. Go ahead. It's psych.
It's family med. It's family med. What was it? High acuity stuff?
Oh, it's not high acuity stuff. I don't think so.
What does it say? What does it say?
They finish outpatient clinic around 5 p.m. They take their Lunesta and they take their melatonin. They out, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're left to do what? What's the resident?
I'm left managing everything, including some higher stake decisions. And honestly, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, there's not many emergencies.
This sounds like a resident who might be handling some patients with multiple comorbidities coming in with things that might be pretty high acuity and they're having to stabilize on their own. I mean, it's
I'm potting right now. But if I were to be a betting person, this is not surgery. This is not OB. This is not any of the things that you would consider like, yo, you need to be up because the attendant can sleep, but if I call you, Nick, you need to wake up. All right. Like those are the things that occur. Those type of specialties. I don't think this is one of them, but I do think on the real, Yo, you got to talk to your program director. You got to talk to your
Yep.
program director. Like, listen, yo, we got an attending who is unreliable and, in essence, who's not teaching, right?
Yep.
And granted, I'm making decisions and I have to go rely on the textbooks and all these different things.
This is
Or
so
I'm just flying at the seat, or I'm just flying on the seat of my pants. This is some inappropriate, like, this should not be going on. I'd be a little bit nervous, though, to go to my program director at first, because I'm sure they're going to be like, this person's gonna be like, so I was on call last time and I was with this resident, or maybe every time I'm on call, I'm happy to be on this resident, and now I hear this complaints and stuff. I'd be a little bit nervous and stuff, but you gotta talk to
Yeah.
your program director and get this handled because this is
Unless the
unacceptable.
person is the program director.
What do you do then?
You go to the
Ooh,
chair. You have to go
what
to
do
the
you do
chair.
then? Man, you can't go to the chair, man.
But
My
what do you
program
do
can go to the chair.
if the person you can go to the chair?
Not good. I could not. I could not go to the chair. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to my chairperson. He will always forever be my chairperson. I love my chairperson. But these type of issues, I could not go to my chairperson for. No.
So who would you have gone to?
I don't know. But I call my residents. My residents were always available. Even the residents who were on call, they were like, yo, Gonzalez, yo, Keyboy, yo, Babalola, what you want me to do?
So one of the things,
And to be honest with you, we
okay.
didn't really call the attendings. We go to the residents.
Well, of course, but like when it's just you and an attending on, right? Like I don't know if you had those situations because of the setup. I don't know if when you went to Columbus,
Yeah,
did your
that's
rotation,
where. Yeah, that's
right? You
where.
have to talk to the
Yeah.
attending, right? Because I had situations like that where it's just me and the attending, right? Like when I went to Raritan Bay, right? My mentor, Dr. Brug, oftentimes I was on with her, right? So it's like there was nobody else to go to. But you know, yeah, I mean, so here's one other thing you could do. Now, this really, really, really depends on how, like, what is the culture of your residency and what is the relationships that the residents have with the attendings. Because sometimes, like, the hierarchy gets a little blurred depending on, the hierarchy. Like, you understand what I'm saying? The hierarchy gets a little bit blurred, like, as you get more senior. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Right?
get what you're saying.
Where now as a senior resident, you're like, all right, I'm gonna just talk to my attendant like my colleague now because I'm done. I've been in this 3, 4, 5 years. We're not going through this no more. You might, if you can identify a senior resident who is cool with this person, tell that senior resident, hey, yo, your boy or your girl is tripping. They're taking Lunesta, melatonin.
I'm trying to figure out
Can
how
you
do they
just say
know this
something?
though? How do they know this?
They're speaking inappropriate stuff. Probably when they do wake up, they're like, I took a melatonin and a Lunesta. They're probably admitting it right out because it's inappropriate. And they're being inappropriate. They're talking about their personal life. They're talking about, so it would be no small feat to say, like, they probably told them that they were taking Lunesta and melatonin. So I remember this one time. I was on call. I was on call actually at one of our satellite hospitals. And I don't know what happened, but at the satellite hospital, there wasn't anything going on. So I was like, woo, I get to sleep. When I tell you I was tired that day, I was so tired, but nothing came in, thankfully. And I wake up, right, in time for sign out. And when I wake up, I look at my phone and I'm like, but there's a 3-minute conversation here with one of my junior residents from our main hospital. But I don't remember talking to anybody. I was like, I don't remember talking to anybody. So I call her and I'm like, yo, did you call me last night? She's like, yeah. I'm like, did we speak? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what did we talk about? She's like, yeah, I had this patient who was in preterm labor. And I was asking you what I should do. Cause I guess she didn't like the senior who was on call at the main hospital. Like she just didn't trust his judgment. And she was like, yeah, so I called you. So I asked you what to do. And I'm like, what did I tell you to do? She's like, you told me
Drink
to do
soup
this.
Zulu. Drink soup Zulu. Make sure you put some bread in that mug and stuff.
No,
Scoop it up.
she's like, you
Chop
told
it
me
up like a
start her on
biscuit.
Procardia, start her on Mag, whatever the hell I told her. Antibiotics if she was ruptured. I can't even remember the whole story. But essentially it was the right management. And I was like, hey, yo.
So is this attending, what do you call it? Intoxicated? Does this count as
Yeah.
intoxicated?
Yes. Under the influence, at least. Yes. Yes.
I think
On call under the
I
influence.
would do,
Absolutely.
I probably would do a senior resident. I talked to a senior resident about it. I might even find another attending that maybe I have a better relationship with.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you gotta talk to your boy, like,
yeah.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
program
You have a
director.
mentor. Yeah.
Because there's a fear of retaliation. Would you be nervous about retaliation? Because I know you nothing bothers you at all. I know you're gonna try. Oh no, I would say this. I just want to know: would there ever be any like thought process in your mind, like, yo, this person could figure out who's like complaining about them, and there's a little fear of retaliation?
It depends on who the person is. Yeah. Depending on who the person is. I think that there are definitely, I mean, I could think off the top of my head certain attendings who I think, yeah, would come after me because I put that out there. Absolutely. And then there's others who I think, would just be like, man, I'm just really tired and I got to do X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. But, and then say, like, no, you're right. I shouldn't have done that.
But more than likely, though, if
So,
someone is doing this, like you're not the only resident that is seeing this type of behavior.
correct.
The
That's the other,
nurses have seen this behavior.
correct.
Other, patients may have seen this behavior, and more than
Yes.
likely, you're just one of many who's going to say something. It's just that, this is the first time that you've had to stand up and say something, or you feel like you have to say
Stand
something.
up.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, it's all about, this is part of advocacy. You're advocating for yourself.
Would you
It's as
tell
hard as, who, me?
in your program specifically?
It depends.
In your program.
Yeah, because like the stuff that I was dealing with is really high acuity, right? Like that stuff, like I can't admit someone without their input. I can't really, like if it's minor things like someone's potassium or, something else,
Yeah, but
like,
that's
well,
things
first
you
of all,
don't call an attending for. I
so
call
anything
my
that
attending for potassium at night. I would
you
get
think ortho does
rerated.
that? This might be ortho. Ooh, this might be orthopedic surgery.
It
This
could
might be
be
ortho.
ortho. Because
Audience, what y'all think?
they'd be like, Ansef, I see him in the morning.
Yeah, man. Okay, so for me, if I needed, like, I just remember in my program, if I called my attending, it was always for something that was like major.
Yeah.
So if it was something that I could not get in contact with my attending for and I needed to get in contact with them, it's a problem, right? This is someone I may have to crack someone's chest. This is someone that I may have to take to the or someone who may need an operating room. This is someone who may need to go back on pressers. Like I remember at my program, we weren't allowed to just put people back on pressers without letting the attending know because they didn't want to come in the next morning and be like, yo, so first of
This
all,
person dying?
why is this person on
Actively?
pressers? Why didn't you let me know? And then what did you do about it?
Right.
So those are things that like were big
Yeah.
deals, right? And if you're admitting something, like you damn sure can't admit someone to the surgery service without letting your attending know. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, I think in my program, I definitely would have told. I mean, we could more freely admit people. We could more freely admit people especially on labor and delivery. A patient comes in, she's 8 centimeters. or patient comes in, she's 5, let's say 5 centimeters, because 8 centimeters, eventually you want to let them know, hey, she's going to deliver. But like she comes in, she's 5 centimeters and she just kind of chugging along.
But
You
this
might not
boils down
call
to the
your
whole.
attending
This
until
boils down to the leadership
at
thing I'm
the
telling
end.
you about. This boils down
Mm-hmm.
to leadership again. Like, right? Like you're gonna have to
Yeah.
learn how to have some
Yeah.
difficult conversations. These difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, these difficult conversations, they start with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't start. I think sometimes people say like it's gonna be real clean cut and it's gonna be like, should we discharge someone or not? It doesn't start like that, guys.
No.
It actually starts with something that's related with you, like how you're being treated or what you see at your job or what you see at your school. And you either see bad behavior or something's gonna come back and get you, or you feel like somebody's gonna come back and retaliate you. What you gonna do? That's
Right.
how it starts. So I don't know.
That's a very interesting situation, but good luck to whoever that is. Hopefully they told somebody.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
T's and P's.
T's and
T's
P's.
and P's. All right, y'all. Listen, we're gonna go into our next segment. So last episode or 2 episodes ago, we answered a question from a family medicine resident who is dating someone who's in the Boston area, and they were trying to figure out, well, as I'm finishing residency and I'm dating someone in Boston, I need to find like a locums gig for like 3 or 4 months, and then I'm good. Right. So we answered their question and they wrote back to us and they says,
like, why the hell you roasting me, Dr. Nee? That's probably what it said, because like you kind of insulted the person when you answered the question. Like they didn't know what a plane was and they didn't know what a train was. Like that's really not the way to go about answering questions from the audience, because you will get canceled.
thanks, Dr.
So you
Renee.
need to apologize.
That won't happen. But thanks, Dr. Renee. Let me read to you what they say, what they had said.
What they
Thank
had
you.
said.
Can I read this question, please?
Go.
Thank you for taking my long and complicated questions on your most recent episode. I wanted to send an update on how the job search worked out. I was a third-year family medicine resident. Dr. Nee, since your response on the podcast, my girlfriend and locum's wife have left me.
It doesn't say that, Nee.
Do you want me to share this with you?
It
I'm going to
says
keep
that?
going. I took a job Monday through Friday in the Arctic Circle, but at least I get to fly back each weekend to see my family for 1 hour before flying back to work. Just joking. So I think they're just, I don't know what they're joking, but I'm assuming they're just joking about the whole thing. But
Yes.
yeah, I see how you is.
Yes, because you were talking
And
about locums wives and blah, blah, blah.
then this person says, Dr. Renee, thank you as always for being the guiding voice of reason and wisdom. And that's where I got a problem with this dude, because I think this person's trying to be smart. He's trying to be smart. He is trying to be smart. You basically predicted the future as I was already working on opportunities in the surrounding area. In the end, I got 4 different offers for places 1 to 2 hours from the Boston area. It all worked out great. And I took a position at a FQHC 1 to 2 hours away for a 3-month contract working 4 days a week. Some additional context. Sadly, the majority of family medicine options are not shift work and they want 3 to 6 month contracts for 4 to 5 days a week. I know what he's talking about. He makes a good point. This makes it difficult to balance multiple assignments at the same time and slightly harder to travel mid-assignment. He makes a good point. I considered some postings in farther locations as my hopeful start date came near, but ultimately, I got a few good opportunities at the last minute. Sorry for not including enough context to completely explain the situation, and thank you both for the great advice as always. I often cite Docs Outside the Box as one of the best resources to others who have been intrigued by the idea of non-traditional jobs out of residency. I appreciate the VIP stat console mid-podcast as well. Thanks for the advice and hopefully tolerating some sarcasm. So listen, the one thing I got an issue with, so
awesome.
My thing is this, why he dissed me and then he says, thank you always for being a guiding voice for wisdom, for reason and wisdom.
Yeah, because that means he's talking about I'm the guiding voice and you a big dummy. Okay.
I like to look at it as there's a yin and a yang. That's the way I like to look at it.
Okay.
You have a certain type of energy, and I have another type of energy.
I
So
got the positive
basically,
energy and you got the negative energy.
so anyway, I understand what he's saying. So I actually have a question before we even respond to what he's saying. So my question is, what are your thoughts on making major moves, right, in your life? Choosing what residency you're going to go to, where you're going to find a job at, getting a house. Thoughts on making major moves with somebody else when you're not even engaged to that person. Boom, Dr. Renee, you
Oh,
go. You go.
easy.
You
Easy. That
go.
was you and me.
You go. Oh, hold on. What you talking about?
That was you and me.
What you talking about? Don't put my business out there like that. Don't put my business
That
out
was
there.
you and me.
Outside of talking about my business, our business. Thoughts on making major moves when you are when you're
I'll
not
talk about
engaged.
my business. And if you happen to be part of the business, then it's your business and I'm be talking about it too. Okay. But that was you and me. We started interviewing. Remember? We started interviewing. I had finished my residency and I was like almost 2 years out and you were almost 1 year out from finishing your fellowship. And we started interviewing. You started looking very specifically in Pennsylvania and you were like, "Hey, I got this interview here and they would like to talk with you as well." And I'm
Were we
like,
engaged?
"No, we were not."
Big mistake.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I went.
But you got the gist that you knew I was about to start. I was going to
I didn't know
correct.
nothing.
Yes, you did.
No, I
Yes, you
didn't know
did.
nothing.
Yes, you
No,
did.
I didn't know
Guys,
nothing.
ladies, listen to this show. Do you think that Dr. Renee would take an interview to go to the same place as me, right? Move from Atlanta to Pennsylvania, right?
It was an
If she
interview.
didn't know, oh, stop.
It's
If she
paying for
didn't
it.
know, can you stop, please? I'm going to mute you. If she
I'm gonna
didn't
mute
know
you.
that something more definitive was coming in our relationship, because
You know,
that's
I
where I
got
call cap.
controls over this thing too.
That's where I call cap on you, because I think a lot of times you be trying to act like things are black and white. It's like, nah, you knew something was coming up the pipeline. But anyway, go ahead. Keep telling your story.
Anywho, so you had not proposed, nothing, and it was a free trip. Excuse me. It was a free trip. Okay. And I was living in Atlanta at the time. And so I went on the trip with you. We came back. If you remember, we came back to Atlanta and you and I had this huge argument. And I was like, dude, why am I even going to these interviews with you? We're not even engaged. That's what I said to you. I was like, we're not even engaged. Like, I don't even have to go on these interviews with you. Like, stop playing. You don't remember that argument? Say you don't
No, I don't
remember the
remember that.
argument, Nee.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that
okay.
argument.
Okay. You only remember things that fit your story.
I do have a problem with that last comment. I don't think
Okay.
that that's a fair comment, but
Okay. I think that's
go ahead and
I think
finish.
that's
Go ahead and
fair.
finish your story, your prolonged story. So, do you
Any
believe that you should make major moves when you're getting without being engaged? Because you're avoiding the answer.
me personally, no. Me personally, I would not. Um, I think that it can get a little dicey because if things don't work out, right? If things don't work out, you don't end up getting engaged or married, especially married, right? Because engaged still isn't like an actual like status. It's just a planning of a status. If things don't work out, then potentially how the law looks at it is that you guys are just roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what's ours is not necessarily ours.
Well, it depends on which state.
No. No.
Because
If you're not married.
In California, can't you live with someone for like several years and all of a sudden it becomes common law?
Well, that I don't know about. I don't know what constitutes a common law, a domestic partnership or whatever. But knowing that you don't have anything specifically documented to say that, hey, I am in this very lawfully recognized relationship, with this person can cause you a lot of strife if it doesn't work out. Now, most people, when they buy property together, are not looking to see, well, what state are we going to live in? And what would it look like in that state if
You sure,
we don't end up together?
Renee?
No, most people, I don't think so. Stop playing. Now you potting me. So
Renee.
you think most people look at the state in which they live?
Yes, I do. I do
Okay,
think.
Nee.
I
Okay.
do think.
You think people look to see the state that they are going to either move into or already live in to see what constitutes a common law marriage or whatever, like because
Yes.
they want to move in with somebody. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yes, I do.
You're lying. You're lying.
Okay.
You're lying. You don't think that.
You can you can call cap. I think
I
most.
call
I
cap
think
on that. I'm calling BS on that. So hold on a second. When we went to go get married, you looked to see what the laws were in Pennsylvania?
I didn't, but I think you did.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't look to see what the laws were before we got married. Absolutely not.
I checked your Google searches.
Anyway, Nee, first of all, everybody know you got to wipe that cachet.
So what about getting a house?
No, but I mean, all of that is related. All of that is related, right? If it doesn't work out, then
So
the
would you
law
ever,
looks
so would
at
you,
you
you
as
wouldn't you
like
would ever you wouldn't ever move in
partners.
with you wouldn't ever would you ever move in with someone who you like would you, let's say you were dating a guy for like 3
No,
years.
I would never.
Would you ever move?
Mm-mm. No, no, I would never move in with somebody. No, not like that. Mm-mm. But that's just me. I'm not saying it's wrong. It works out for some people, and for some people, it doesn't work out. But
I think it's
for
important.
people,
I think for people who don't follow your rule, because I do kind of agree with your rule, which every Renee's rule is in order to have a successful relationship, and a successful relationship is a relationship that can go through the good and the bad, right? Like kind of ride the waves and so forth.
Mhm.
You got to be with someone for at least like 5 years and stuff. But if you decide not to follow 5 years, do you think you can accelerate that point by living with someone? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you think, okay, like if I lived with someone
Maybe,
for 2 years, could I figure out what I would have learned for the other 3 years if I didn't live with that person? I say yes,
maybe,
because when you live with someone
maybe.
like that's like, you know, that's crazy.
I say maybe. And the reason that I say maybe is because people can live in blissful situations for a long time before it starts to go downhill, before they start to realize, it's not really what I wanted. Right. And I would say, honestly, if you're with somebody more than 5 years and your relationship does end, look back 5 years because that's probably when the strife started. Right. That's true. That's probably when the strife actually started, right? It wasn't full blown, full fledged, maybe until like the last, year, few months before you actually broke up. But if you look even 5 years back, you'll see little, what do they say? Those seeds, little apple seeds, crumbs, whatever. If you look back, you'll see those crumbs of, oh yeah, this started to kind of go downhill even then, but I didn't think anything of it because I didn't
You
actually
think I
think
should
that
give it?
a breakup was on the horizon.
You think I should give advice? I think I should stop giving advice. I'm not going to give advice anymore
Why not?
to like to younger people because I think if I
Yeah. Oh,
base it
so
off
you
of
gonna give advice to older people?
I just my advice so my relationship advice based off of what I did in my 20s is something that I think most people should not listen to.
Okay. But is that advice that you're giving, or is that don't
A
do
precautionary
that
tale?
kind of, yes, a precautionary tale,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a precautionary tale. I'm like
right?
trying
I mean, I think a precautionary tale is fine.
because where I work at, like it's very traditional out here, and people like be getting married like in their 20s, right
Yeah,
out of
23
school, and
years
I'm like,
old. Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, you're doing what? You-
Yeah.
I just like I'm like I was too selfish, right? I was too selfish up until 45, right? Like I was like
45.
46. No, I'm just saying like I gotta give props to folks who are able to like right out of college or right out of professional school, like immediately out of professional school, be like, yeah, I'm ready to settle down. Like you think
But
me and you right out of medical school, you think me and you would
no,
have what do you call
no, absolutely
it?
not.
But you wanted to get married, I could
No,
tell.
I didn't. No, I didn't. Absolutely not.
Renee,
Absolutely.
listen to
Nope.
look. I just
Nope.
graduated. I had a
Nope.
Volkswagen Jetta.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah,
Everybody knows what I'm going to say after you say Volkswagen Jetta. What do I usually say? With the shocks of a tricycle knee
which
and
lets
the
me know.
mirror
So
and the driver's
guys,
side
listen,
mirror or passenger
guys,
side
listen.
mirror hanging off. Like, stop playing.
So the fact that you're looking at the material values of what I had makes me think that you went even further to figure out what state was the common law stuff. You see, guys, I could put it all
Really?
together. Put it
No, you
all
can't.
together.
What you
It's
can
a
put
full
together
circle
is the
moment.
fact that I was riding in that car, feeling every single nook and cranny of the asphalt. Like,
Renee, before you even move on. So what year was my car?
I don't even know.
What
What
year
year
was
was
my
your
car,
car?
Renee? It was a 99 Volkswagen Jetta. What year was your car at that same time, Renee?
91
What car was it?
Stanza. Nissan Stanza. That's right.
Okay. Okay. So there's no way that your shocks were better than mine. Like I don't you had to pop your clutch every day to go to work for
No, I
residency.
didn't.
What are you
No, I
talking about?
didn't. No,
What are you
I
talking
didn't.
about?
What are you
Y'all had
talking
a six
about?
CD changer. Y'all had like nice and smooth in CD one. I had like I had everything in 1 through 6. Yo, what'd you have, yo? You had your cell
First of
phone. You put
all,
your music in your cell like dun, 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 driving to work. Like, get out of here. Come on. Listen,
ain't nobody want you for your bum ass Jetta. Okay? Yeah, I said it.
sunroof.
Yeah, that got stuck because you got a freaking pen stuck in it.
What are you
Yeah, look
talking
at
about? When
you.
did I get? I never
Yeah.
got a pen stuck in it.
Yeah. Yes, you
Anyway,
did.
listen, guys. I ain't making no major moves unless I'm getting engaged to someone that's buying a house. Because I think things can go wrong. You know, like I've seen people like get a house, they buy a house, and they buy a house together, even though they're not like married yet. Like they plan on getting married, but that planning is actually based off of one person finally deciding that they're going to engage with the other person and go back and forth. Like I don't believe in
What does
that,
that
right? So
mean? Well, I don't know what that means, Nee. Nobody
what do you
knows
mean?
what that means. What
What do
does
you mean?
that mean? Based on
What does what
one
mean?
person going to engage what does that mean? I don't get that.
Well,
That's you.
in order for two people to come together into marriage,
Mhm.
one person has to decide and ask, "Hey,
Mhm.
do you want to get married?" Right?
Right.
That's
That
usually
sounds
how it
like a
occurs.
proposal.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say for example, me and you decided to get a house and
Mhm.
we put a deed on it. And you're like, well, we're gonna get married, and it's like, but you're actually technically dependent on me to be like, yeah, like let's get married. That's crazy.
But you would be also dependent on me to say yes.
Of course, you're gonna say yes.
Why would I say yes? Why? Why is that such a guarantee? Really? Because of your face and your Jetta?
You think this takes work? This takes time, man. You know what this comes
Yeah, it
with?
takes a lot of work. It looks like it takes a lot of work.
Mm. You know that like you walked into
Mm,
a lot, Renee. You walked into a lot.
a whole
But
lot.
anyway, listen. Our family medicine resident, thank you so much for writing back to us. That is actually dope. That he's got 4 different offers to
Yeah,
work.
that's awesome. No, that's
That's really
awesome.
great.
That's great news. That's great news.
That
And
is
it's 4 days a week.
that is one thing to consider, guys, is with family medicine. Family medicine sometimes can be a little bit, you just have to make it
More
work, right?
rigid.
It's not as shift worky-ish like ER, anesthesia, trauma, OB, hospitalists. But this person is obviously making it work. He making it work. So, um, and he's probably gonna stay locums for a lot longer than he probably thinks. So
Maybe. Well, it's good that it's 4 days a week. So, there's some time off if there needs to be, some back and forth visiting or staying with or, so there's time to be together. So that's good. I'm glad
that's
I'm glad he found a solution.
Yeah, that's hella important. Save that relationship. I hope you guys make it work. We made it work. And I tell you, like, once me and Renee decided, like, okay, I'm going to be doing my locums and then I'll come down to Atlanta to visit you, like, our relationship got way better. Way better.
Yeah, because you was
Once you
finally
started,
paying attention to us, sister. You know what I'm saying?
I think part of it was you were starting to see the money that I was bringing in too. And once
What
you saw
money,
that,
me? What
lo
money?
locums.
What? No, where was this money going? What? Like, I don't understand. I didn't see any of this money. I had my own job. I paid my own bills. Where was the money going?
Oh,
What
and you could
money did
tell.
I see?
You could tell, like, I had different clothes. Like, I smell, my
Different
swag went
clothes.
up. My swag went up. You could tell.
Different clothes, Nee.
I stopped using the Jetta. I
Different
gave the
clothes.
Jetta to my pops.
Okay.
Guys, sometimes I be potting. It's all good, yo. We have fun here. And listen, Renee, why don't you tell people how they can write in so that we can answer their questions, please?
So you can write into us any which way that I'm going to mention, and that is IG, DM, Docs Outside the Box, or in the comments section of a reel or some other post that we might have, Docs Outside the Box on IG. TikTok is also Docs Outside the Box. You can also text us below. I think there are 2 text options
Like,
down there.
one is the burner
Who knows?
text, one is the real cell phone number, and the other is the burner text.
If you text us, please put your name.
It's for your locums wives. Yeah, this is the number I get to my locums wife. Text me on this number, so it feels like it's a listener. Hey, Niche, I listened to your show. I listened to your show last night. It was amazing. It's like, oh shit. Keep going. I'm gonna be in trouble so much.
Meanwhile, it's my locum's husband. Oh man. The other way that you can reach us is docsoutsidethebox.com. Why your face go like that, Nee?
That's peace.
Docsoutsidethebox.com. And you can send us a message. And if you want to be anonymous, you can always tell us that you want to be anonymous. We don't have to put your name out there. But if you don't want to be anonymous, then give us a name.
All right, y'all. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Me and Renee got a lot to talk about. So we'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Bye.